Winston Churchill, see if this applies to you in this, what you're doing, has a famous saying that I quote in a different context, which is about my life, which is, success is going from failure to failure, but with enthusiasm. Does that apply in this space?
That's a great quote. You have to have enthusiasm. You know, you have to, as an entrepreneur, which is what I've been most of my life, you're running on enthusiasm. You know, you need to stand up in front of a group of people and tell them that the company is really going to be fantastic, and then you go home at night and you cry and you hope that it's really going to be. So you have to, you know, and I think by nature we both are enthusiastic people. And you need to have failures. If you haven't failed, then you haven't learned. Or maybe that's not true. If you failed, it doesn't necessarily mean you learned. If you know, and we fail often. But hopefully, when we fail, the next failure is not the same way. And we have learned from the first failure. Go, oh yeah. And we actually even have code names. You know, if we did something and it failed, the next time something comes up, we'll say amongst the three of us or amongst the investment team, oh yeah, that's like a blah blah blah. And we go, okay, we'll stay away from that. So you need to fail. I think failure and risk are really important, and that's the way that things grow. If not, we're just all going to be in a fairly steady state.
Do you think that particular way of thinking about failure comes from your entrepreneurial background, and is that different than people who have been engaged in a different kind of philanthropy, or came at philanthropy from an inheritor perspective?
Yes. It's very different because our wealth was created by taking personal risks and career risks and acting a certain way for 15 or 20 years in our professional career. And we had a lot of luck and success and fate, and it worked. And so that model worked for us, and so we're actually using that same model in our philanthropy. If it's and we could do that because it is, you know, it's the Betsy and Jesse Fink Foundation, and we are, you know, we can make those decisions. We abide by all the rules and guidelines that need to happen, but there's not a lot of bureaucracy. In fact, whenever we feel like there's some bureaucracy creeping into our small little foundation, it makes us nervous, and we need to figure out how to do it. We do have good governance, and so I think we have great reports and great accountability, but we like to keep it small. Other foundations that are second generation or third generation, that the founders of that, the creators of the wealth are not there, are in a very different situation. In that case, they have a different responsibility to be more of the stewards of that wealth and make sure that they're following whatever was written down as the guidelines for the philanthropy on how they're going to distribute that. For us, we wrote things down, but we can change it. We can change it. Every year we look at and say, what are the issues, the sub-issues that we want to focus on this year? Okay, how are we going to do that? It just, we are able to run our organization a lot more fluidly and entrepreneur because that's who we are at this stage. 20 years from now, our foundation, if we haven't given it all away, will be in a different situation.